Sup. We're back, and in this video, we're gonna discuss CNS neuroglial cells. So neuroglial cells that are found in the central nervous system. Pretty exciting stuff. So just a reminder: there's astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglial cells, and ependymal cells. So we're gonna start off with the astrocytes here. So astrocytes are the most numerous neuroglial cells in the CNS. They're star-shaped cells. So if you see them in a picture, they're going to be star-shaped cells, and they do form the supportive framework of the for nerve tissue. So they kind of like the support of these what are they called? The legs of this chair are going to be similar to like the astrocytes. They form that supportive framework for the nerve tissue, and they also the astrocytes have extensions that come off them that are called perivascular feet. So these I want to make sure I got that right. Perivascular feet. So perivascular feet, they wrap around capillaries to form a blood-brain barrier. And what the blood-brain barrier is, it prevents certain substances from passing into the nervous tissue. So the blood-brain barrier, the perivascular feet, the extensions of the astrocytes, they are a defense mechanism, obviously, to keep the bad stuff out of the brain, but they can be problematic when administering medicine because obviously some medications can't cross that blood-brain barrier. So they are a defense mechanism, but can be problematic when administering some forms of medication, and that's the blood-brain barrier, which are the formed from the perivascular feet, which are the extensions of the astrocytes. So astrocytes also help to maintain homeostasis, the dynamic internal equilibrium of the ions in the ECF, so in the extracellular fluid. The astrocytes help maintain that balance, the homeostatic balance of ions. Also, last but certainly not least, astrocytes, they help form scar tissue. Excuse me, not scarm tissue. They form scar tissue. Sorry, I got a notification on the phone. Had to check that first and foremost. Right, can't wait a couple minutes for that. But astrocytes form scar tissue when neurons become damaged. So if a neuron becomes damaged, boom, astrocytes can help form that scar tissue on that specific particular neuron there. So those are astrocytes. Most numerous neuroglial cell of the CNS. Star-shaped cells, they have that supportive framework. They have the extensions called perivascular feet, which form that blood-brain barrier, which keeps some substances from entering into the brain, which can be problematic when administering medications, but obviously is a defense mechanism as well. Astrocytes also maintain the homeostatic balance of ions in the ECF and help to form scar tissue when neurons become damaged. So now we're going to discuss the oligodendrocytes. So oligodendrocytes, that's just freaking fun to say, I'm sorry. Oligodendrocytes, they do what the hell do they do? They produce myelin in the CNS. So myelin, it wraps around axons of neurons. So we're going to understand myelin as we discuss it more and more here. So myelin does not surround an entire axon. So picture this as an axon. Picture this as myelin. So the portions of the axon that are not covered by myelin are called nodes of Ranvier. So nodes of Ranvier, I think the R is silent. It's nodes of Ranvier, Ranvier, also called neurofibril nodes, but we'll refer to them as nodes of Ranvier. This would be, the part of my hand would be myelin, the pen would be the axon, the portion that's not covering the pen would be the nodes of Ranvier. So what this does is the myelin, or the electrical impulse, actually jumps from nodes of Ranvier to nodes of Ranvier. So picture there's the other pen here, so boom, it would go here, and then just keep jumping. So what this does, it decreases the space that the nerve impulse has to travel, which ultimately increases the time, or it the nerve impulse, excuse me, it's transmitted quicker. So since there's less space, the nerve impulse has to travel. The nerve impulse is transmitted quicker. And one last note about the myelin. Myelin is an extension, really, of the oligodendrocyte. So the oligodendrocyte, an extension of it is myelin, and myelin has the same composition of cell membranes. So lipids, lipoproteins, all the stuff we learned about previously. That's the same composition as myelin there of the cell membrane. But the myelin produced by the oligodendrocytes does not cover the entirety of the axon. The part that's not covered by the part of the axon that's not covered by the myelin is the nodes of Ranvier. This allows the nerve impulse to travel much quicker since there's less space the nerve impulse ultimately has to travel. So now we're gonna quick pause, and before we discuss the microglial cells and the ependymal cells, wanna look into some multiple sclerosis. So multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease. Immune system attacks self. So what part of the immune system, what part of self does the immune system attack? So in this case, the immune system attacks the myelin of the central nervous system. So the myelin of the central nervous system in multiple sclerosis, aka MS, myelin of the CNS is attacked, which ultimately results into electrochemical impulses being transmitted much slower. So decrease the rate that electrochemical impulses are transmitted. Whenever a person's suffering MS, there's the rate of electrochemical impulses is much slower. It's definitely much slower with MS, the autoimmune disease, and that's due to the immune system attacking that myelin. So the immune system attacks the myelin, and which leads to the nerve impulses being sent slower, pretty much. And then now we'll discuss the microglial cells. So microglial cells, they're phagocytic cells of the central nervous system. So they're essentially macrophage derived from monocytes. So just think the phagocytic cells, the cells that eat things, and in this case the microglial cells phagocytize, aka eat dead, damaged tissue and or microorganisms. So they are a defense cell, really, for us. The microglial cells, they phagocytize dead, damaged tissue and or microorganisms. And then last but certainly not least, the ependymal cells. They line the ventricles of the brain. So the ventricles of the brain, ventricle, aka hollow space. Ependymal cells line the hollow spaces of the brain, and ventricles are filled with CSF, aka cerebrospinal fluid, and the ependymal cells produce cerebrospinal fluid to do a few different things to the brain. It functions, the cerebrospinal fluid that's produced by the ependymal cells of which are neuroglial cells of the CNS. The CSF, or cerebrospinal fluid, cushions the brain, acts as a shock absorber. It circulates chemicals and nutrients throughout the brain, and also removes waste. And it, last but certainly not least, the CSF, or cerebrospinal fluid, aids in maintaining the homeostatic balance between the ECF and the central nervous system. So that homeostasis, that dynamic internal equilibrium, ependymal cells help to, with the cerebrospinal fluid that they produce, help to maintain that balance between the ECF and the central nervous system there. So ependymal cells pretty important for producing that cerebrospinal fluid, that cushioning for the brain, that shock absorber, that circulation of chemicals and nutrients, also removing the waste, as well as maintaining that homeostasis between the extracellular fluid and the central nervous system. Then obviously the microglial cells, they eat or phagocytize, they're cells that eat or phagocytize dead or damaged tissue and or microorganisms. And then obviously we touched on the other two already, the astrocytes and the oligodendrocytes. So those are the central nervous system neuroglial cells. So neuroglial cells in the central nervous system are astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, the microglial cells, and then the ependymal cells. And then we did touch on MS in this video as well. Next video, we're going to look at the peripheral nervous system neuroglial cells. Let's get it.